The cap sits crooked on my head, and I can feel the bobby pins digging into my scalp, but I don't adjust it. Not yet. Not when I'm scanning the sea of proud families in the graduation auditorium, searching for faces that I know won't be there. Amelia Chen. No, wait! I catch myself. That was my old name from my previous life. Amelia Brooks, I whisper, tasting the familiar bitterness on my tongue. Row after row of beaming parents clutch their phones, snapping pictures of their graduating daughters. There's Jessica's mum in the third row, crying actual tears of joy. Behind her, I spot Maria's entire extended family. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, all crammed together, waving a handmade banner. And then there's my section. 2 empty seats with my parents' names written on small reserved cards, mocking me from the distance. The girl next to me, Rebecca, I think, leans over with concern written all over her face. Are your parents running late? I almost laugh. Late? They're not late. They're at Dad's medical conference in Seattle, the one they chose over their only daughter's high school graduation. Just like last time. Just like they did 18 years ago when I lived this exact moment for the first time. Something came up, I say, the same lie I told in my previous life. But this time, I'm not crying. This time, I know exactly what's coming. The principal's voice booms across the auditorium. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the graduating class of 2024. We stand in unison, caps and gowns rustling like autumn leaves. But as we begin our processional, I'm not thinking about walking across that stage. I'm thinking about the Harvard acceptance letter hidden in my desk drawer at home, the one my parents will never see, the one that will remain my secret until the day I die. Because 18 years ago, when I was foolish and desperate for their approval, I showed them everything. Every achievement, every honour, every acceptance letter. And what did I get in return? Empty promises, missed events, and the constant feeling that their medical careers would always matter more than their daughter. The memory burns. Me at 17, waving that crimson acceptance letter like a victory flag. Mom! Dad! I got into Harvard! Full scholarship! Dad had barely looked up from his patient files. That's nice, sweetheart. Can we talk about this later? I have surgery prep. Mom had been on a conference call with pharmaceutical reps. She'd covered the phone and whispered, "Congratulations, honey. We'll celebrate this weekend." We never did celebrate. That weekend became the next weekend, which became after this busy period at work, which became never. But that was the old Amelia. The Amelia who died at 28 in a car crash, bitter and alone, having spent her entire adult life chasing parents who were too busy to catch her. This Amelia, the reborn one, knows better. Amelia Brooks. My name echoes through the auditorium as I approach the stage. I scan the crowd one last time, some small, pathetic part of me hoping they'd surprise me. That maybe in this timeline, this rebirth, things could be different. The empty seats stare back at me. I shake the principal's hand and accept my diploma, smiling for the photographer who captures this moment for posterity. Somewhere in the audience, other families cheer for their daughters. The sound washes over me like a wave I'm watching from underwater. As I return to my seat, my phone buzzes. A text from Mum. "Sorry, we couldn't make it, sweetie. Dad's presentation went long. So proud of you. We'll take you to dinner when we get back." The same text. Word for word. Even in my rebirth, they are devastatingly predictable. I delete the message without responding. Rebecca leans over again, her voice gentle. "Everything okay?" "Perfect," I say, and I mean it, because this time I have a plan. In my previous life, I spent years begging for their attention, scheduling my achievements around their availability, making myself smaller and smaller until I practically disappeared. I followed their path into medicine, thinking it would finally make them proud. I worked myself to death, literally trying to earn love that was never freely given. Not this time. This time I'm keeping my Harvard acceptance to myself. While they assume I'll attend the local state college like a good, average daughter, I'll be packing for Cambridge. While they expect me to study pre-med to follow in their footsteps, I'll be pursuing literature and writing, the dreams they dismissed as, quote, impractical in my first life. And when they finally realise what they've lost, when they discover that their daughter achieved everything they'd always claimed to want for her, it will be too late. I'll be gone, living my own life, surrounded by people who actually show up. The ceremony concludes with caps flying through the air like confetti. Mine stays firmly on my head. I'm not celebrating, not yet. This is just the beginning. As families flood the stage for photos, I slip away quietly. No one's looking for me anyway. I drive home in silence, my diploma on the passenger seat. The house is empty, of course. Dad's conference runs through Sunday, and Mum went with him for the spa weekend. Their priorities crystal clear as always. I climb the stairs to my room and pull out the Harvard acceptance letter from my desk drawer. The thick cream paper feels different in my hands now. Not like a desperate plea for approval, but like a secret weapon. Dear Miss Brooks, it begins, the Committee on Admissions is pleased to inform you that you have been accepted to Harvard College. I fold it carefully and place it back in the drawer. Soon I'll need to respond to confirm my attendance. But they won't know until I'm already gone. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Dad. Congratulations on graduating. Can't wait to hear about your college plans when we get home. I stare at the message for a long moment, remembering how desperately I once wanted to share those plans with them. How I'd practiced the words, Harvard, Dad. Harvard accepted me. Now, those words will remain forever unspoken. And when they finally understand what they've missed, what they've lost through their own negligence and misplaced priorities, the empty auditorium seats will seem like nothing compared to the empty space where their daughter's trust used to be. I turn off my phone and smile. The real revenge has only just begun. 3 days pass before they return from Seattle, and I use every minute to perfect my performance. When their car pulls into the driveway Sunday evening, I'm in the kitchen, textbooks spread across the counter, appearing to study for my upcoming college placement exams. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm actually reviewing Harvard's freshman reading list, but they'll never know that. There's our graduate. Mum's voice carries that forced enthusiasm she reserves for moments she thinks she should care about. She's still in her conference attire, designer heels clicking against our marble floors. Dad follows behind her, already scrolling through his phone. Sorry, we missed the ceremony, sweetheart. Dr. Peterson's keynote ran longer than expected, and then the networking dinner was mandatory. I look up from my books with the practiced expression of understanding disappointment. In my past life, I would have exploded here. I would have screamed about priorities and broken promises. I would have cried. Not anymore. It's okay, I say, my voice perfectly measured. I know how important your work is. Something flickers across Mum's face. Surprise, relief. She'd been braced for a fight that isn't coming. We brought you something, she says, producing a small wrapped box. Inside is a delicate gold necklace with a tiny diploma charm. The same necklace she bought me in my previous life, probably purchased at the hotel gift shop 5 minutes before their flight. It's beautiful, I lie, fastening it around my neck. Thank you. Dad finally looks up from his phone. So, have you given any more thought to college? State University has an excellent pre-med program, and with your grades, you'd easily get into their honours college. Here it comes. In my past life, this was the moment I'd practically vibrated with excitement, bursting to tell them about Harvard. This time, I let my shoulders slump slightly. Actually, I've been thinking maybe I should take a gap year, work, save some money, figure out what I really want to study. The silence that follows is deafening. Mum and Dad exchange that look. the one parents share when their child has just suggested something completely unacceptable. A gap year? Mum's voice pitches higher. Amelia, that's not. You need to go to college. Education is everything. Your mother's right, Dad chimes in, suddenly paying attention. Gap years are for students who can't get into good schools. You're better than that. I bite back the bitter laugh, threatening to escape. They care more about the optics of my education than my actual happiness, just like before. I just thought maybe I could explore my options. Travel a bit, maybe try writing. Writing? Dad's tone makes it sound like I'd suggested becoming a circus performer. Honey, writing is a hobby, not a career. You have the aptitude for medicine. Why would you waste that gift? Because last time I followed your path, I was miserable every single day until a drunk driver ended it all, I think. Out loud, I say, you're probably right. I'll apply to state. The relief on their faces is immediate and nauseating. That's our smart girl, Mum says, already reaching for her phone. Dr. Williams' daughter goes there. I'll call her tomorrow and get you connected with the right people. They disappear into their home offices within minutes, leaving me alone with my gap year performance still echoing in the kitchen. But I'm not discouraged. This is all part of the plan. Over the next 2 weeks, I become the perfect daughter they never knew they wanted. I research State University's pre-med program extensively, printing out course catalogues and leaving them strategically around the house. I schedule a campus tour for the following month. I even start volunteering at Dad's hospital, wearing scrubs and looking appropriately eager about medical careers. She's really matured, I overhear Mum telling her sister on the phone. The graduation thing was a setback, but she understands now how demanding our schedules are. She's being very reasonable about college. Reasonable? The word tastes like acid. But my real life is happening in secret. While they think I'm researching State's biology department, I'm actually planning my dorm room at Radcliffe. While they believe I'm volunteering to gain medical experience, I'm actually observing their world with the detached eye of a writer, gathering material for the stories I'll write when I'm free. I've already confirmed my Harvard acceptance, arranged for financial aid, and submitted my housing preferences. Everything is set for August. They just don't know it yet. The most delicious part? They keep praising me for choices I'm not making. I'm so proud of how seriously you're taking this, Dad says one evening, finding me with my laptop open to what he assumes is State's website. It's actually Harvard's freshman orientation schedule. Dr. Williams says his daughter loves the pre-med track there, Mum adds. You'll fit right in. I nod and smile, playing the dutiful daughter while my Harvard sweatshirt sits hidden in my closet, still in its shipping package. 2 weeks after graduation, reality hits them in the form of a phone call I've been expecting. I'm in my room when I hear Mum's voice rise from downstairs. What do you mean the deposit deadline was yesterday? My stomach clenches with anticipation. Right on schedule. Amelia! Dad's voice booms through the house. Can you come down here, please? I find them in the living room, both looking flustered in a way I haven't seen since my past life's medical emergency. Sweetheart, Mum begins carefully, we just got off the phone with State University's admissions office. They said we missed the deadline for fall enrollment. I let my face crumple with perfectly manufactured disappointment. What? But I thought, I was sure we had until August. The deposit was due 2 weeks ago, Dad says, his jaw tight. Why didn't you submit it? I was waiting for you to look over everything first. You said you wanted to review the financial aid package, and then you got busy with that new research grant, and I didn't want to bother you. It's a masterful performance. I'm throwing their neglect back in their faces while appearing completely innocent. I can see the guilt and panic warring in their expressions. This is... Mum runs her hands through her hair. Maybe we can call in some favours. Dr. Williams might be able to... Wait, I interrupt, as if struck by sudden inspiration. What about community college, just for a year? Then I could transfer. The horror on their faces is exactly what I expected. Their daughter attending community college? What would their colleagues think? Absolutely not, Dad says firmly. We'll figure something out. There has to be another option. But I know there isn't. Not for State University. Not for any of the schools they'd consider acceptable. All the deadlines have passed for fall enrollment, except for Harvard, where my spot has been secured for months. As they spend the evening making frantic phone calls to admissions officers and family friends, I retreat to my room and pull out my Harvard acceptance letter one more time. Soon, I think, soon they'll understand what their negligence has cost them. When August comes and I disappear to Cambridge, when they realise I had options they never knew about, when they discover I achieved everything they claimed to want for me while they were too busy to notice, that's when the real revenge begins. The empty graduation seats will seem like nothing compared to the empty house they'll return to when they finally understand what they've lost. The next morning, I wake to the sound of heated whispers from their bedroom. Through the thin walls, I catch fragments. Calling Princeton. Waitlist at Johns Hopkins. Our reputation. I stretch languidly in bed, savouring every stressed syllable. They spent the entire night making calls, begging colleagues for favours, trying to undo the mess they think I created through innocent incompetence. When I finally emerge for breakfast, they're both at the kitchen table, surrounded by printouts and open laptops. Dad's tie is crooked, unusual for him, and Mum hasn't done her hair. They look like they've aged 5 years overnight. Good news, Mum announces with forced brightness. Dr. Patel thinks he can get you into the pre-med program at his alma mater. It's not ideal, but... Where is it? I ask, pouring orange juice with steady hands. Philadelphia, Dad answers. Temple University. Decent medical school placement rates, and Dr. Patel serves on their alumni board. I let my face fall. Philadelphia? That's so far from home. It's only a few hours by car, Mum says quickly, and the important thing is getting you into a proper 4-year program. We can't have you wasting time at community college. The desperation in her voice is music to my ears. They're scrambling so hard to maintain their perfect family image that they haven't stopped to ask the obvious questions. Like why their supposedly brilliant daughter would miss such an important deadline. I guess if that's my only option, I say, letting my voice trail off with just the right amount of reluctance. It's settled then, Dad declares, pulling out his phone. I'll call Patel now and confirm. But before he can dial, his phone rings. The caller ID makes him frown. It's your high school counsellor, he says to me. Why would she be calling? My heart pounds with anticipation. This is the moment I've been waiting for. Dr. Brooks. I hear Mrs. Rodriguez's voice even from across the table. I'm calling about Amelia's college plans. I just received some concerning paperwork that suggests... Dad puts the call on speaker, his expression puzzled. What kind of paperwork? Well, according to our records, Amelia hasn't submitted enrollment confirmation to any college for the full semester. But that can't be right, because I distinctly remember her getting several acceptances in March and April, including one from, I watch Mom's face go white as Mrs. Rodriguez continues, including one from Harvard University, full scholarship. She was so excited when the letter came, said she couldn't wait to tell you both. The silence that follows is thunderous. Dad's phone slips slightly in his hand. Mum's mouth opens and closes like a fish gasping for air. I'm sorry, Dad finally manages. Did you say Harvard? Oh my goodness, Mrs. Rodriguez's voice fills with concern. You didn't know. Amelia, sweetie, didn't you tell your parents about your acceptance? All eyes turn to me. I sit perfectly still, my orange juice glass halfway to my lips, wearing an expression of deer in headlights shock that I've practiced in the mirror. I stammer, setting down the glass with a trembling hand. I was going to, but what? Mum's voice is barely a whisper. The tears come easily now, not tears of sadness, but of victorious relief. You missed my graduation, I say, my voice breaking convincingly. And then, when you came home, you were so busy, and Dad immediately started talking about pre-med and state university, and I thought maybe you wouldn't care about Harvard if it wasn't medicine. Wouldn't care about Harvard? Dad's voice cracks on the word. Are you insane? Harvard is Harvard. But it's for English literature, I continue, the lies flowing like honey. Not pre-med. I thought you'd be disappointed that I wasn't following your path. Mrs. Rodriguez's voice cuts through the tension. The enrollment deadline is August 15th, but they'll need confirmation soon to hold her spot. This is a tremendous opportunity. Dad ends the call abruptly, his hands shaking. The kitchen falls silent except for the tick of the wall clock and Mum's sharp, irregular breathing. Show me the letter, Dad says finally. What letter? I ask innocently. Don't play games, Amelia. The Harvard acceptance letter. Show me. Now. I disappear upstairs with slow, reluctant steps, giving them time to process what they've just learned. When I return with the letter, they're holding hands across the table, the first time I've seen them touch in months. Dad reads the letter aloud, his voice growing steadier with each word. The Committee on Admissions is pleased to inform you that you have been accepted to Harvard College for the class of 2028. When he reaches the financial aid details, Mum gasps. Full scholarship? Amelia, this is a full ride to Harvard University. I know, I whisper, but you always said writing was impractical. For the love of... Dad slams the letter down on the table. Do you understand what this means? Harvard doesn't give full scholarships lightly. You must be in the top percentile of applicants nationwide. But it's not medicine. It's Harvard, Mum shouts, startling both Dad and me. I've never heard her raise her voice like this. Do you know how many of my colleagues would kill for their children to get into Harvard? For any program? The irony is delicious. Now they care. Now, when it's almost too late, they suddenly understand the magnitude of what I've achieved. Why didn't you tell us to? Dad asks, and for the first time in years, he looks truly vulnerable. We would have been so proud. Would you? I ask quietly. Or would you have been too busy with your conference calls and surgical schedules to celebrate? The question hangs in the air like a blade. I watch them realise that they don't have a good answer. The enrollment deadline, Mum says suddenly. When is it? August 15th, I repeat what Mrs. Rodriguez said. That's next month, Dad calculates quickly. We still have time. You have to accept this, Amelia. You have to go to Harvard. But I shake my head sadly. I can't afford the dorm and meal plan deposits. The financial aid covers tuition, but I needed to pay the housing deposit weeks ago to guarantee a spot. Another lie, but they don't know that. I watch panic creep back into their expressions. How much? Mom asks urgently. 5,000, I say, but all the dorms are probably full by now anyway. I'll call Harvard directly, Dad declares, already reaching for his phone again. There has to be something we can do. This is our daughter we're talking about. Our daughter got into Harvard. As he dials, Mum reaches across the table and grabs my hands. Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. We should have been there for your graduation. We should have been there for all of this, but we're here now, okay? We're going to fix this. I let my eyes fill with tears again. Do you really think I should go, even though it's not pre-med? Are you kidding? Dad pauses in his dialing. You can study whatever you want at Harvard. English literature, interpretive dance, underwater basket weaving. I don't care. It's Harvard. You'll be Dr. Amelia Brooks someday, Mum adds with a watery smile. Doctor of Literature. That has a nice ring to it. They're trying so hard to repair 18 years of neglect with 5 minutes of enthusiasm. It's almost touching. Almost. But I know the truth they don't. I've already confirmed my enrolment. I've already paid all deposits. I've already chosen my classes and my roommate. While they've been scrambling to fix their mistake, I've been 3 steps ahead. In 3 weeks, I'll leave for Cambridge. And they'll never know that this entire crisis was orchestrated by their own daughter. The daughter they underestimated, overlooked, and abandoned one too many times. The best part? Now they think they're saving me, when really I'm destroying them. The next 3 weeks pass in a whirlwind of fake crisis management. Dad takes actual vacation days, something I haven't seen since childhood, to drive to Harvard's admissions office in person. Mum cancels 2 pharmaceutical conferences to help me shop for dorm supplies. They're falling over themselves to be present, to matter, to fix what they believe is broken. It's pathetic and beautiful at the same time. I spoke to Dean Morrison personally, Dad announces one evening, bursting through the front door with the excitement of a lottery winner. They're holding your spot. The housing deposit has been waived as part of your financial aid package. Mum claps her hands together like a child. And I found the most adorable bedding set for your dorm room. Harvard Crimson, naturally. I accept their enthusiasm with the appropriate amount of grateful bewilderment, never letting on that I've been receiving regular emails from my actual roommate, Victoria, for weeks. Victoria, who's a piano prodigy from California and has no idea her roommate is playing the long game of revenge against her own parents. As August approaches, their attention becomes suffocating. Dad starts leaving work early to take me to celebration dinners. Mum begins every conversation with, "When you're at Harvard?" They're performing parenthood like it's a new skill they're desperately trying to master. The irony cuts deeper each day. They're giving me everything I wanted in my previous life, but only because they think they almost lost it. Not because I earned it. Not because I deserved it. But because Harvard's name carries social currency they can cash in with their colleagues. On August 10th, 5 days before my supposed departure date, I decide it's time for the final act. I'm in my room, surrounded by the shopping bags of supplies they've bought me, when I call them upstairs. They arrive breathless, as if I might vanish if they don't hurry. "I need to tell you something," I begin, sitting on my bed with my hands folded in my lap. The Harvard acceptance letter lies on my nightstand, a prop I've kept visible for weeks. "What is it, sweetheart?" Mum perches on the edge of my desk chair, leaning forward with concern. Dad remains standing, but his body language screams anxiety. "Are you having second thoughts? Because it's normal to be nervous about—" "No," I interrupt quietly. "I'm not nervous. I'm grateful." They exchange a confused look. "These past few weeks," I continue, "watching you both drop everything to help me, seeing how much you care about my future, it's meant everything to me." Mum's eyes start to glisten. "Of course we care, honey. You're our daughter." "I know. And I want you to know that no matter what happens, I love you both." The words taste like ashes, but they're necessary for what comes next. "What do you mean, no matter what happens?" Dad asks, his medical training kicking in, as he searches my face for symptoms of distress. I stand slowly and walk to my closet. From the very back, behind the formal dresses I never wear, I pull out a large duffel bag. It's packed tight, ready for travel. "Amelia?" Mum's voice pitches higher. "What's that for?" "I've been lying to you," I say simply, setting the bag on my bed next to their carefully chosen dorm supplies. "About everything." The silence that follows is electric. Dad's face goes through a spectrum of emotions. Confusion, fear, anger, settling somewhere between betrayal and panic. "What do you mean, lying?" he asks carefully. I unzip the duffel bag and begin removing items. My confirmed enrollment paperwork, printed boarding passes, a Harvard sweatshirt still in its packaging, dormitory assignments with Victoria's contact information. I accepted Harvard's offer in April, I say, my voice steady as steel. I confirmed my enrollment in May. I paid all deposits in June. I've been planning this move for months. Mum's hand flies to her throat. But the housing crisis, the deadlines we missed. There was no crisis. I lied about the deposit. I lied about the deadlines. I lied about needing your help. I continue pulling evidence from the bag. Meal plan confirmations, course schedules, even my student ID card that arrived weeks ago. Why? Dad's voice breaks on the single word. I turn to face them fully, and for the first time in months, I let them see the real me. No more perfect daughter act. No more manufactured gratitude. Just cold, calculated truth. Because you missed my graduation, I say simply. Because in my entire life, you've chosen your careers over me every single time. Because when I got this letter, this incredible, life-changing letter, I knew that if I told you immediately, you'd find a way to make it about yourselves. That's not, Mum starts to protest, but I cut her off. Isn't it? Look at the past 3 weeks. You weren't proud of me for getting into Harvard. You were terrified of looking like bad parents to your colleagues. You didn't celebrate my achievement. You celebrated your ability to fix what you thought was your mistake. The truth hangs between us like a physical barrier. Dad's face has gone ashen, and Mum is openly crying now. I earned this, I continue, gesturing to the acceptance letter. Every honour, every grade, every accomplishment that led to this moment, I did it alone. While you were in surgery, or at conferences, or taking important calls, I was building the life I wanted. By myself. We thought you understood, Mum whispers. Our work is important. We save lives. And I learned to save myself. I zip the duffel bag closed with a sharp, final sound. My train leaves in 2 hours. 2 hours? Dad's voice is strangled. But you're not supposed to leave until the 15th. I was never supposed to leave on the 15th. Freshman orientation starts tomorrow. I'll be arriving exactly when I plan to arrive, when Harvard expects me to arrive. You're the only ones who thought I was leaving later. The devastation on their faces is everything I dreamed it would be, and somehow less satisfying than I expected. In my previous life, I imagined this moment would feel like victory. Instead, it feels like the end of everything. Please, Mum stands shakily, reaching toward me. Don't leave like this. We can talk, we can fix. There's nothing to fix, I say, shouldering my bag. This isn't broken. It's just over. Dad blocks the doorway, his surgeon's hands trembling. You're our daughter. You can't just leave. I'm 18. I can do whatever I want. I meet his eyes steadily. Besides, I learned from the best. You've been leaving me my whole life. This is just the first time I'm leaving you. I walk past him toward the stairs, and he doesn't try to stop me. Mum follows, her voice breaking as she pleads, We'll do better. We'll be better parents. Please, Amelia, give us another chance. At the front door, I turn back one last time. They're standing at the top of the stairs, clutching each other like survivors of a shipwreck. Maybe you will be better, I say, for your next daughter in your next life. But I'm done raising myself while waiting for parents who are too busy to show up. I step outside into the summer evening, closing the door on 18 years of empty chairs and broken promises. As my Uber pulls away from the house I grew up in, I see them through the front window. 2 brilliant doctors who save strangers' lives for a living, completely helpless to save their relationship with the daughter they lost through their own negligence. The woman who died in that car crash at 28 would have looked back with regret, with lingering hope that maybe someday they'd change. but I'm not her anymore. I'm the woman who got herself into Harvard, who built her own future, who learned that the best revenge isn't hurting the people who hurt you. It's succeeding so completely without them that they finally understand what they never had the wisdom to value. As Boston's skyline comes into view, I smile and reach for my phone to text Victoria. On my way to our new life. Can't wait to meet you. Some stories end with forgiveness. This one ends with freedom.